So hi guys, so in the last tutorial we have seen frame layout. Now let's have a look at constraint layout. So this layout is from API level 19, and let's have a look at this documentation, because there are numerous things. And let me tell you, this layout is so much powerful and advanced, and it was developed and introduced after some time when Google was developing the Android SDK and all of these components. And this layout is very widely used now because it is very easy to use, and the kind of results it gives you is very robust. Okay, so there are few drawbacks in linear layout and relative layout, and those drawbacks are also covered in constraint layout. So this layout is a powerful tool for creating complex and responsive layouts. It allows you to specify constraint between its child views, ensuring they are always displayed in the desired way. Okay, so just like a relative layout, you can provide the constraint between these two. And so let's see. So constraint layout lets you create a large and complex layout with a flat view hierarchy. So no nested view groups. You don't need to create nested groups in this case, and it is similar to relative layout in that all views are laid out according to the relationship between sibling views, okay, and the parent layout. But it is more flexible than relative layout, and is it easier to use. So somewhat the behavior of this constraint layout is same as relative layout, but there are more additions to some attributes for the constraint layout, and all the power of constraint layout is available directly from the layout editor visual tool, because the layout API and the layout editor are specially built for each other. So what is the meaning of this, that I will tell you also. So let me explain you how this developers portal have explained this constraint layout, and then we will move out to Android Studio and we will check practically how it is working. So see this, the layout looks good in editor, but there is no vertical constraint on view C. So see, there are three widgets, A, B and C. So as you can see, this arrow on the left side, the meaning of this arrow is the left edge of this view is constrained, or it has a relation with the parent left or parent start. Then this right, the meaning of this right arrow is the right edge of this B, or the end of this B is constrained with parent end. Okay, so start of A is constrained with parent start, and end of B is constrained to parent end. Similarly, this A, the top of A is constrained to parent top. Right, now you see this C, the start of C is also constrained with the start of A, and this end of C is also constrained with the end of A. Right, so the meaning of this is whatever width of item you are putting it here, like if it is a button, if it is a text view, it will always be aligned with the center and with the boundaries of this A view. Okay, so that means if it is less than if the width of C is less than of width of A, then it will be aligned at the center. If it is more than that, then it will be aligned exactly at the center and with the width. Okay, now one more thing is given here. This arrow from B to A, you see, from B to A, so the top edge of this B is aligned with the top edge of A. So no matter how much height you give to this B, the top will be fixed. It will be aligned with the A always. If you give some margin here, when the if you give top margin, your A will move down. Similarly, your B will also move down. Why? Because the top edge has to match with the top edge. It is constrained, it is aligned, it is connected. Okay, and similarly for this entire width, B is aligned to the end, A is aligned to the start, and B is aligned to the right. That means the meaning of this is start of B is aligned to end of A. Okay, so there is a property for this that I will explain you. Okay, now this C, see, they have written the editor shows view C below A, but it has no vertical constraint. If you run this into your application, if you run such kind of code, then in your Android mobile this C will overlap into A, because you have not given vertical constraint. Okay, in editor it will show you like this, but whenever you are running it will not show, and it will give you error also that you have not given vertical constraint. It will give you error at this whenever you are trying to compile or run the app, not in the app, before running the app. So you have to give that vertical constraint also. So here one vertical constraint is given, that C should be below A. Okay, so normally to show the view you need at least 3 constraints, so that it will show you stable position or desired position. Okay, minimum 3 constraints you need. So to add constraint layout to project, you cannot directly add it, you need to write the dependency for that. Okay, so in settings.gradle you can add this Google into repositories you can add Google, and into libraries you need to add these 2. This is for compose, you are not using compose, so you will use this, we will use this. Okay, only this line is enough for us. And let's go there now. Let's go to Android Studio, so I can show you directly in practical way. So in resource layout I will write activity underscore constraint. Okay, and by default it is constraint layout only. So in from Android Studio 3.0, by default you will get that implementation of everything. See here, you can see constraint layout, see this dependency. And what is dependency? So in detail we will learn about this, but in short I will tell you right now. Dependency, this set, see build.gradle module and build.gradle project, there are 2 files. Whatever libraries you are going to use other than your Android SDK, you have to define it here. Once you define it here, you can use that in your project. So constraint layout is already given, that is why we can use it. Now let's go back to our screen, this screen. Let's create the same screen using constraint layout. Okay, and in addition to that we will add this also, this image into the frame view example. See this image, we will add that image also, and how easily it will be added I will show you now. Okay, so here I will do what, I have added constraint layout. Now I will add a button. See this button, I am dropping this button, click and drop. Okay, and button 2, and edit text, and one more edit text, and I will add that image later. Let me add this edit text first. Okay, so I will just close this panel on the left side, and so I have hidden this panel, project panel. Now let's see this in detail. In design panel I will go, okay, and this is blueprint. You can see design and blueprint. This is blueprint. So blueprint will show you the borders of that view, and design will show you how the rendering will work. Okay, so if I click on this button, you can see some properties on the right side, right? So these all are the properties related to constraint layout. Okay, so here ID I can change. I will write button register. Okay, button register. Okay, button reg I will write, and to this button reg, okay, I will do refactor so it can rename everywhere. Now you see this constraint widget they have given, right? And here you can see the error, no, not horizontally constraint, not vertically constraint, right? So you need to add this constraint. So where I want to put this button? See, generally if you drag and drop this button where you want, it will go there, okay, but it will ask you for some errors. See, in your coding it will ask you some error. See, what is the error? This view is not constraint, it only has design time positions, so it will jump to 0,0 at the runtime unless you add the constraint. Okay, so 0,0 is where? Here. So in design view you can see that, but in rendering, when you run the app, it will not show you. Okay, so I will go to design again. Okay, now I want to add constraint. So what I will do, this is button, so let me change the text of this button. So this is text, button register, and this is my button login. It is easier to change from this coding, from XML, login and button login. Okay, so I will change here also id username and ed password. Okay, so here I will write password, and I will change this text property to hint property. Okay, similarly here also I will write username. Okay, now this register and login button, now I want to add constraint, so I will click it here. Okay, now from here you can directly also add constraint. Okay, you can directly add constraint. So if I want to constrain this end, I will click and hold from this point to the parent, to the end. Now it is constrained to the end. If you can see here in the list of constraint, end of parent, so the end of view is constrained to end of parent. In coding also, if you want to see in coding, see layout constraint end to end of parent. The meaning of this is the layout constraint end of this view is connected to end of parent. You can connect to end of any view also. Now I will connect this bottom to parent also. Why? Because I want to keep this button to right and bottom, right? Okay, now this button I will do constraint, so I will click and hold on this and I will put left, and I will click on this and I will put down. Okay, now these two buttons are constrained to each other with the parent, but now I want to make connection of these two buttons. This space is empty, right? So I will hold this and put with this button. Now you see the position of this button is changed, and this position of this button is not changed yet. So I can do one thing. I have another option. See this, my bottom to bottom of parent, end to start of button registration. Okay, so the meaning of this is layout constraint end, that means the end should be connected to start of this button. Okay, and this registration, it is saying bottom to bottom and end to end, right? Okay, now let's go to other properties. So this username width, I will do match parent, and I will give margin to 14 dp. Okay, so I will copy this and I will give this margin to password also, and I will do this match parent also. Okay, now what I want, see, if I connect this top with the parent top, it will go to the top. Why? Because currently this view is connected with the top constraint to the parent, and there are no other constraint available, right? So this view will connect to the top because there are no constraint available. But if I connect this with the bottom, it will come to the center. The reason for this is top is connected to parent top, bottom is connected to the bottom parent, right? So it will adjust in between the center of these two, right? Okay, now I will do what? Left should be added to parent, right should be added to parent. Okay, now you can see here some values they have given. Okay, now this is vertical bias, this is horizontal bias, this is left margin. If you increase this margin, say 24, it will move 24 from left. Okay, so if I write 32, see it will move 32. So what I will do is I can use bias also. What this bias is, that I will tell you. I will tell you in some other session in detail. So top, bottom, left, right, everything is connected, so that is why it is coming to the center. Now I will connect to this password, and I want this password field at the bottom every time, right? So I will click on this point and put at the bottom of this view, right? Now left and right, see, now here are two things you can do here. You can connect left and right to the parent, or you can connect the left and right to the above text view. Both are same. The difference is what I will tell you. If I connect it with this about username edit text, okay, now see, it is end to end of username, end to end of this. If I go here, okay, if I go here and in coding, if I change the margin to 24 dp, or you say 26 dp, okay, you see that this edit text is not changing at all. This edit text, it is not changing at all. Okay, but the size of this edit text is not changing at all, right? So even if I do a width of 180 dp, okay, size of username is 180 dp, but the size of password is same, it is not changing. So what is the use of constraint then? Why this constraint is used? We can use this constraint, we can connect it to parent also. Why we are connecting to username? No, the reason is you will have to use the constraint property. You will have to tell the XML that we are making some constraint other than parent. Whenever you are using this constraint other than parent, you have to tell the layout that other than parent I am using the constraint. So here you will have to write constraint width true. see here other than parent I am using, that is why I have to use constraint width. Here other than parent I am using no, so I don't have to use constraint width here. Now if I change this width to 280, see the width of password is also changing. If I change it to 320, 300, see the width of password is changing. Okay, if I write match parent, the width of password is changing. Okay, so this margin if I write 54 dp, so width of password is changing. So that is how we change this constraint using this constraint width tool. This property you need to add, constraint width. When you have to add, you will add this property whenever you are not using parent as the constraint. Other than parent, if you are using, suppose if these two properties are using parent and these properties using AD username, then also you will have to use width. You can use constraint height also, but right now here our concern is not height, our concern is width. That is why we are using constraint width here. If I don't use it, it will not act like that. Okay, so I will remove this margin and username and password now is set. Okay, so as you can see we have login and register button, but still the problem is that my login and register button are still not exactly how I wanted, right? Okay, so here what I will do is I will write match parent. Now you see the difference. I will write match parent. See now your button is occupying the entire space. It is not showing before this button, but you have added the constraint that you want to show this button at the start of this button registration. You have added the constraint here, right? What this constraint says, it says layout constraint end, means the end constraint should be connected to the start of button registration, but it is not showing the result as we wanted. Why? Because just now I have said you, whenever you are not using a parent constraint, if any of the single constraint is not parent constraint, you have to use the constraint width or constraint height parameter. So constraint width true. Now you see width is automatically adjusted. Okay, now one more thing here, I will write margin which is 12 dp, and I will add this margin to my button also. So there are two things now I can show you. Without adding margin, for the second button also we can do that, and with adding also we can do that. Okay, now to the width of this button, if I write match parent, now you see the difference. If I write match parent, it is occupying the entire width. Why? Because this button is not constrained anywhere. See, this button depends on this button, and this button depends on what? Nobody. Okay, so I can write anything here, but it will not show me the desired results. If I change width to 180, this button will adjust, because this button is taking size from this. It is dependent on this, right? So here, even if you add a constraint width, it will not work, because this button is itself occupying the entire width, and then this button is adjusting. Okay, so this is how you use constraint width and constraint height parameter as a true. So this approach of giving 180 dp is not recommended. Okay, there are a few things to handle this scenario, but that I will show you in some other session, not in this session. In maybe next session I will show you how that works. Okay, so right now we will stop here, as we have completed our layout as we wanted using constraint layout. Okay, there are no multiple groups used, there is nothing used. I have just used constraint and nothing else. Okay, and there are no errors also. See, one error is there for this ADT username, and this error is, this is a error related to view. Okay, this is not the error for this layout. We have minimum constraint needed. Okay, so for button we have, for this also we have, for edit text also we have 4 constraint, and for this edit text we have 3 constraint. Okay, so it will work. So we will just stop here, and into the next session we will learn about more advanced thing provided into the constraint layout. Okay.